Hello and welcome to the Wow Embossing YouTube channel. My name is Aditi and I am back today with mixed media inspiration for y'all. Today I decided to create a mixed media journal page in my square watercolor notebook, and I have different techniques in mind that I would like to use to create this page. So to begin with, I had this idea of using mini tags on my page, and I thought it would be cool to create nice textured paper for that. So that will be my first step. I will create some textured tags that I can use later on my journal page. Now for the first step, I am going to use this 3D embossing folder, Diamond Stars from Altenew. I have a piece of paper here that I will use to emboss, and what I'm going to do is I will apply embossing ink on my 3D embossing folder at the base. And now I will just place my paper inside of this embossing folder and run it through my machine and be back. And that is a look at my embossed paper, and on the back I will have embossing ink that is transferred from my folder. So I will first go in with Chinese lantern wow embossing powder on one side, and I will use Tickle embossing powder just slightly on the other end. Now using my wow dual heat tool on the second heat setting, I am going to emboss that powder. And that creates a cool textured paper to use for my background. And now I will just trim this down to create a few tags. I want to create a tag which is 2 inches by 3 inches. For the second tag, I've kept it to 2 by 3.5 inches, just slightly bigger than that. I am going to retain these smaller pieces because I might use them as well. And now just using the scissors, I am going to create tag edges by cutting off the corners as a triangle. Now to create some elements for my page, I want to create some layered flowers, and so I am going to use the layered lily stamp set from Altenew, and I'm not just going to do layered stamping, but I will also do layered heat embossing. So I just have a piece of paper here that I had used earlier to die cut, but I can use the same thing for stamping and embossing. I have chosen 2 inks in the lightest shades, so that's Peach Perfect and Baby Pink. First, I will just stamp a layer with the ink. I will then stamp the same layer with embossing ink, and he set it with clear embossing powder. Now I'm going to go in with the second layer of the stamp and use the Chinese lantern on my orange flowers. And for my third layer, I will use polished gold for this particular flower. So I will first work on this and then move to the hot pink. And that, you can see, just gives me such amazing textured flowers. So I'm going to repeat the same process with this particular color set. So for my second layer here, I will use the primary fuchsia and Tickle for the third most layer. Now in the same way, I will create the leaves, and for the leaves I will use limeade for the first layer, fresh stem for the second, and green fields glimmer for the third layer. I will create that, die cut all of these elements and be back. I have my elements ready. These are the tags. I added eyelets and some ribbon. These are the tiny pieces, so I've created tiny tags to use as well. And these are the focal elements, the flowers. I really love how they turned up. I realized that I had two more layers. So for the pink flower, I've used silk brocade with the polished gold. And for the orange one, I have used pomegranate for that layer. And that is a look at the leaves. Now I want to work on my background, and for that I'm going to see where my main tags are going to be, and that will determine my focal point. So I would like to have them here at the bottom corner of the page, and maybe work around this to add the flowers. So this would be a good placement for the tags. And now, keeping that in mind, I want to create a sense of balance on the page, and that's how I will use these tiny tags. So I can just layer them on top, and that will help me tie my entire page together. So I could just take this a little down and have that cluster there, and that's going to be a small cluster. This will be my main focal point to work on the page. Just around this, I would like to add a little color, and so I'm going to use some inks, and I am just going to create a little palette here for myself by smooshing the inks on this and misting it with water and lifting it with paintbrush to add little color just around these two clusters. So I will use marigold for the orange and purple wine for that purple hot pink color. So just here I have tried to connect that color, the light thing, because when I add this, then it will just tie my entire page together. So it's a very cloudy look, very light, but yet there is that color and tint in the background. I'm just going to go in with the same color and add fine splatter with a fine tip paintbrush. And now I will just work on my composition. I'm not really gluing it down already. I'm just placing the elements, playing with it, and seeing where I like what. And once I'm happy, I will see if I need to add anything else in the background before gluing the elements down. Now I'm happy with how it looks. So what I'm going to do is I will just use a little washi tape and I will just hold these elements in place from the top. So that way I can just go back in and get the same composition back again. Now, before I actually glue it down, I want a little foliage at the background. And so I'm going to use the Golden Garden stamp set and pick this particular cluster and stamp this on my background. I am going to do that with the parrot green ink. And now I'm going to use the black artist acrylic ink and add black splatters. Now to complete my page, I am going to glue the entire composition, and for this I am going to use liquid glue as well as foam tape to add dimension at places. I complete my page with meaning, and for that I've used journaling stickers and added paint your dreams, and that just makes this entire page so much more meaningful for me. Here is a closer look at the completed page with all the stunning detail from that layered embossing, the depth and dimension from just embossing paper with the folder and then heat embossing that with the powders. And like you saw, everything for this page was created from scratch. So I have made my own embellishments and paper layers to create this journal page today. I really hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial. Till the next time, take care and bye bye.